Okay, by show of hands, have you opened your Google Colab? A thumbs up if you have opened your Google Colab. I can see most of us have opened that. Victoria, what about you? Good. Let me just share my screen. Let me just share my screen.
I've not been able to open mine. I'm having issues accessing my email.
Or your password for the email.
No,
Oh?
like the Google account itself.
Okay. I think you should. You must be logged in your Google, so that you're able to access these. Like in this case, let me just open mine. Should be Colab. So let me just create a new notebook. I think in my case, I'll open a notebook. Let me just try to find file, upload, and they are telling me to sign in also. Oops. Are you able to see this screen? Yeah, I think mine is already open. So I'm going to use these. So let me just open my. Let me just upload my notebook here, the one that has some notes. Very fast. It should be the first lecture here. Python. Let's see this. This is the first lecture. So let me open these. Good. I think that is it. I'm hoping that my screen is visible. Let me just try to adjust to adjust some fonts here so that it can be a bit clear. Let me use 20. I think 20 should be visible on your end. How is that? I think that's cool. So as I was saying that I want us to start with even with the other languages, with the other programming languages, we always start with the Hello World program. So this is a developer's greetings. That is telling the developers that you have entered to world of programming. This is always the first program in any programming language. So and in Python, it's very simple. It's just a one-line program, and we just say print hello world, just that. So forget about the syntax. We are going to learn about the syntax. And then after you write this, you can just click this play button. There is like a button here that looks like a play button here. You just have like to click this to run any program that you are going to write. So this is an example of a program, and this is our first program to write. So anytime you click here, this is running your program, and you should expect an output here, just below this. This where we are writing program, in this case, it's called a cell. Like this one is just a single cell. So meaning that we have written our program in a single cell, and each single each single cell has a play button. So anytime even I add, let's say, for me to add another cell here, I'll just click this to add a cell. So also here you notice that this one is a cell and it has a play button. This play button is the one that we use to run any program. The other thing that you should understand is that let's say maybe you want to edit the file name. You can always edit the file name here. Like you can see here I have lecture 1. So I can edit that. I can edit this to the name of my choice. And any programming file that is written in Colab, it has this extension name that is .ipynb. But this one will just come by default. So if I was maybe let me show you. If I was to create maybe a new notebook here, let me show you this so that at least you can understand. So you notice that when I create a new notebook, it is written untitled .ipynb. So like now in your case, you're just going to be editing this untitled thing, and then you can just write the program name based on what you are doing. Like this one, I can just call it first program, and then I'll just hit enter. And now you notice now you can start writing your code in these cells. You can have an unlimited number of cells, and this is how we create a cell. Like you just hit, you just have like to bring your cursor below this cell, and I just click code. You can add another one. You can add this to infinity. So, but in this case, I just want us to get into the first lecture here. And I think I've shown you how we write hello programming in Python. So you can just try to write this in your cell. Anyone who has written this? Have any one of you written this? The first program. I think I can just randomly choose someone. Can you show us your screen? I can see Joseph Kiru, Kina Erickson. I think they have managed. David, what about you? Yes, Carl is sharing his screen.
I'm listening through my phone, so maybe.
Okay. So this is it. The first program. Just forget about the syntax and whatever, because we are going to learn this from scratch. So let's start with the most basic thing in programming, and these are what we call variable names. First, who can tell us what is a variable? Definition of variable. I think I'll just start engaging people now. To Zebida, do you know what is a variable?
Just means that it does not have a fixed pattern. It can have a certain length, but it's not fixed.
Sorry?
I'm saying a variable is not consistent to a certain pattern. Is not can be able to be changed.
That is Zebida's definition. Who thinks otherwise? A lady this time. Charlotte, do you know what is a variable or what is the definition of a variable? You can just tell us what is in your mind. What do you think variable is in Python? Anyone to help Charlotte? Anyone to help Charlotte? Who is that? Who is willing to help Charlotte? Let me check. You can just unmute your mic. I think Stella. Stella, if you're speaking, no, you are on mute.
Variables in Python are, what should I say, like somewhere you
Sorry?
can't hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, I'm saying variable is like holding information that you can call later in Python.
No, that's a good definition of a variable. And in simple terms, we can just say that a variable is just it's a placeholder. You can say it's a placeholder to store information. We say that it's just a placeholder. You can call it a placeholder to store information in Python, or what we call you can also call them they are just like containers to hold information in any programming language. So maybe what I would like us to know today is that uh, for computer to process information, it must be stored somewhere. So in this case, in programs, we are going to be storing our data in these placeholders, or in these containers we are calling variables. So and we have rules for creating variables, and I would like us to learn what are the rules that are used to that are used to that are used to create variable, or what you call variable names. So and we have like 5 rules to create a variable name. And the first rule is always that a variable name must start with a letter or an underscore. I'm assuming that everybody knows what is an underscore. This is what is an underscore is. So any variable name that you want to write, it must start with a letter or an underscore. So meaning that when, let's say, you want to name what? Maybe you want to name your container, or to name your placeholder, let's say list. You can say list underscore one. So you notice that this word is starting with a letter, but you cannot start with a number. And we say that we want to call our list maybe one list. No. This one doesn't happen. So it's either it start with a letter or an underscore. You can have this one as an underscore list, or underscore the name of your choice. So that is the first rule. So anytime you are creating a variable, it must start with a letter or an underscore. The second rule is that variable name cannot start with a number. I think I have already explained that it cannot start with a number. Let's see the third rule. And the third rule is that a variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscore. So I think you guys know what is alphanumerics. That is A to Z and 0 to 9. And now we are adding these underscore. So a variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscore. I think we should be able to note that. The fourth rule for naming variables, we are saying that variable names are case sensitive, meaning that a variable name starting with a capital letter, even if the names are the same, like in this case, we have age starting with a small letter and an age starting with a capital letter. These are two different variable names, simply because variable names are case, we say that they are case sensitive. So having age, let's say age is equals to something like 34, and age, we can have age is equals to 34. These are two different containers. Yes, they all sound age, they are spelled the same, but you notice that this one is starting with a small letter, but this one is starting with a capital letter. So meaning these are two different variable names. That is why we are saying that they are case sensitive. The last rule when creating a variable is that a variable name cannot be any of the Python keywords. So in Python programming language and in any other programming language, we have words that are reserved. They are reserved words for that language. Like in Python, we have a number of reserved word for Python programming language, meaning that you cannot use them as variable names. So those are just the 5 rules that we have to create variables in this Python programming language. So anytime that you want to store data, you should follow these rules to create your variable name. Any question up to that point? Thumbs up if you're good. I think most of us are okay with the rules. That's okay. That's okay. So let's see. Now that we have learned these rules, let's see some of the legal names or legal variable names that you can have. Like this one, we have my var is equals to John. We have my underscore var is equals to John. We have underscore my underscore var also is equals to John. These are some of the variable. These are just examples for legal variable names. And in fact, we are calling them legal because they are following these rules here. Like the first one, you can see it starts with a capital letter. We have the second one starting with this one is starting with a small letter, and all the characters here they are what? They are alphabets. In this case, we have alphabets and underscore. So meaning that these are variable name. This is a variable name with underscore, starting with underscore, and some letters and underscore. So also this one is a variable. This one is a varied or what you are calling legal variable name. Also with this one. So these are just by example of legal variable names. So after that, after learning the rules, there is a way now there is some techniques we can use to. There are some techniques that we can use to write these variable names, and they are three. They're usually three in any programming language. So I want us to see how again now the techniques that we have for creating these for creating these variable names, because again they have techniques. There are three techniques that we use to create these variable names. In fact, it is for consistency purposes. So that if you are using a certain technique, you can use it all through your program. So let's see the techniques that we have in Python for naming variables, and we are going to say that we have you can have a multi-words variable names. So these are variable names with more than one word, and we are saying that they can be difficult to read. Let's say maybe you have what? You have a variable name that is called maybe start coding. It might be difficult for you maybe to understand what is this, right? But maybe we can use a technique that will make these more readable. So, and that is why we are saying there are several techniques you can use to make them readable. So the first technique here is what we call camel case. I think that it's highest time we should start taking some notes, some short notes somewhere. So camel case, and in camel case we say that each word except the first start with a capital letter. So like in this case here, we have two words, right? If you were to write this one in now camel case, let me just show you here. I think you can just have the camel case. So if you want to have a camel case, I think you can just say variables. So if you have two words here, we are saying that each word except the first start with a capital letter. So if you want to write start coding as a variable, we are going to we're going to have a variable name called start coding, and we are starting coding. I think today is 24th Feb 2025. So meaning that start coding. So this is a variable name that holds the date that we have started coding. So, and you notice that the first letter here, it must start with a small letter. That is for the camel case. Anytime you are writing your variables in camel case, remember that the first word should start with a small letter. I think that one should be crystal clear. So let's get to the second technique. So thumbs up if you guys got the camel case. Before we proceed to the next one, I can see most of us are understanding this. So let's get to the other technique. Yeah, I can see Akina Charlie, Joseph, we are getting this. So let's get to the other technique that we have, and this one now is called Pascal case. The Pascal case. And we are saying for the Pascal case, each word starts with a capital letter. So meaning even the first word will also start with a capital letter. So I think you can just have a hash, and we call this one Pascal. The Pascal case variables here. And now in this case, we are going to have start is the S is capital, start, and this is coding. So is equals to again 24th Feb 2025. So now you can see any word in this is I think even you can add some other here. Start coding with Jimmy. So meaning that start is capital, coding is starting with a capital, with is starting with the capital, Jimmy is starting with a capital. So this now is what we call Pascal case variables, or Pascal technique of naming, Pascal technique of Pascal case technique of naming variables. I think up to that point we are good. Then let's come to the last one that we call the snake case. And with the snake case, here we separate the names now with underscores. And I think you can see here, each word is separated by an underscore character. So if you were to have these here, let me just show you. How is this? So let's have hash, and then we can have the snake. It's called the snake case. I think it just says the snake case variables. I think that is it. So, and let us have an example. So let's say we want to write start coding with Jimmy. So you're going to have start underscore coding with Mr. Jimmy here. So, and even we can indicate the date of, I think I can just copy this, and we paste it here, right? It's just that simple. We have just those three techniques. You have to master those so that when you are doing some programs, you can at least follow one of these. That is so that at least you can be consistent in how you name your variable how you name your variables. I think this one is always good even when you are doing we are doing now documentation. Like you can say, let's say you have a team, you're working on a certain project. So I always find it good to even indicate the technique that you are using for naming your variables. In case now you are you're working on a project together, because you can have someone working on some functionality of a system, another one working for a certain functionality. So, and if you don't maybe follow a certain technique for naming the variable names, your code might look inconsistent. So that is from the two guys or the three guys or the team that you are working together. So I think those are the three techniques that we have. Thumbs up if you are good with the techniques. They're just three. I think most of us are good up to that point. So let me just check. A random check. Charlotte, are you good with the techniques? Good. So I think now we know how we know what are variables by now. We know the rules that are used to create variables, and we know the techniques that are used to name variables. So I think those are things that should stick on your fingertips anytime you are doing programming. So I think that is it with that. So after that, what else do I need to check? I think I should rush through these. The first lecture, I don't like to cover most things, like many things. But you guys allow me to touch something on Python data types, because now you can see anytime that I'm giving an example here, you notice I'm starting with some quotation, and then whatever I want to put is in quotation. You might, at the back of your mind, you might be asking yourself, like, what are these now? Are we going like to put quotation in everything? No, 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 no. So let's get to understand what are data types and how they are used in programming. So in Python, we have a number of data types that we use, starting with the most what? I think we can just start with the most used data types in Python, Python programming. And we are saying that we have built-in data types. And we are saying that in programming, data types is an important concept, simply because what you are storing in those containers or those placeholder we call variables, they will be data, or it will be data. And different data is like different data types are represented. They are represented differently. So it's always good to understand where to put what. So why don't we start with these data types, the built-in. In fact, these ones they are called the built-in data types, and they are categorized into a number of categories. So starting with the text type. A text type is just what you know. A text type can be a string of words. A string of words. You can have a sentence in quotation. So meaning that this is the first category that we have. It's just right here. It's called text type. That is the first category. And the text type here, we have something we call string, or what I'm calling str. In fact, this one is a shorthand for string. I think I should write it in complete. It's called string. And anytime that you are storing a string in your variable name, all strings, I think you should note this, that all strings data, I think you can just say all string data type should be enclosed in quotations. So anything I write just here is a string. It can be either be double quotes, or even or the single quotes. Oops. You can have single quotes. So anything you write in these quotes, it's what we are calling strings. Like in this case where we were just like seeing the naming techniques. You notice that start coding with Jimmy is equals to a string. This one is a string. So 24 date 24 Feb 2025. This one is I'm passing this date as a string, and that is why you can see it is in quotation. Let's get to the other category very fast, and this is now where we have numerics. We have numeric types. So in here, I think you know the types of numerical types that we have. You guys, you have interacted with integers from nursery school. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you guys, you know those. We have float. Float, I think you guys have interacted with the decimal numbers, right? And then we have complex. I think there was. Who can give us an example of a complex number? So someone to just give us an example of a complex number. I think Shirley can give us one. I can see Carl is already giving us one there. Any other person? A lady now? Shirley? We can have Charlotte, or we can have, let's have, we can have Mombi. I can see this time I have a number of ladies joining programming. So, Mombi, are you in position to give us a complex number? Carl has given us one. I can see her good. So, in fact, Mombi is saying 22 minus. Did I see that one? But something I, you can have maybe for I. So this is a complex number, by the way, and it falls under numeric type. So for the float, I think for the integers you have interacted with them. So that one is the second. That one is the second category. So the other one that we have is the sequence type. The sequence type here we have, you can have a list of numbers. You can have a list of numbers. This is how we create a list in Python. So you can have a list of numbers. You can have something we call tuples. That one is a data type again in Python. We are going to learn more about tuples in Python. And we have range. In fact, this one is it's often used when we are doing just a random. We're just maybe trying to create some numbers randomly, giving just a range, like in the range of 1 to 100, generate some few numbers, like 10 numbers randomly. So also this one is now in sequence type. We have another one that is called the mapping. This one is a mapping type category. And in mapping type category, we have something we call dict. Or this one is called, in fact, this one you can just complete this. That one was just a shorthand. It's something we call dictionary. And in dictionary, we always have a key and a value. You're going to see these things. We always have a key and a value. In fact, this one we should just relate it to the dictionaries that we used in literature, whereby we have something like A has a number of words, so many words, all the words starting with A is, so we have A as a key, and now the values. We have apple, A's, and a number of other words that start with A. So these are mapping type. So we are mapping a key to a number of values. So I think that is it with the mapping category. Then we have other that are called set types. And in set types, we have a number, we have set, and the frozen set. And then we have something we call Boolean. Of course, you guys know a Boolean is either what? Who can give us an example of a Boolean? I want to see the math lovers here. An example of a Boolean? Ladovan? Anyone in mind? Stella? You guys know
X is greater than Y.
X, let me see this. X is greater than Y. That is Radovan. Any other person with a different guess? Yes, I can see Carl saying true, false. Yeah, I can see also Carl saying is either one or zero. Yes, I can see. Yeah, yes, Rodovan, the examples that we can have here. In Boolean, we always have to just two outcome. It can either be a true or a false. When it comes now to binary, you can have a 0 or a 1. In fact, I always find, we always have argument with a student when I talk of male or a female, because there are other number, other genders. I think. But anyway, let's stick to the false. It's either yes or no. It's either false or true. Is either one or zero when it comes to binary. So those are just examples of Boolean. We can just examples. We can have. Oops, I had a typo. Examples here. We can have yes. Let me say yes, no. We can have 0 or 1. We can have true or false. Right? These are the examples of Boolean. So then we have another category that is called binary. I think you guys know what a binary is. And in this case, we have 1 0 or 0 1. So you guys know that. I think every decimal number can be represented as a binary. And you guys, you must be knowing that computers just understand one and zeros. See, mnajua hiyo? I think you should be knowing, and if you didn't know, now you know it. Yeah, computers can just interpret 1 0, 1 or 0. And if you get into maybe to learn physics, was it called physics for computing, or what was it? I think I don't know if it's A to F, but no, but this one is out of topic. Let's just leave this one. Let's stick to 1 or 0. And then we have non type. Imagine in Python we have something we call non type. I think you should, but they should do research on these, on the non type, and we have the non type. You just try to do some research on the non type. Python will just show us wonders. So these are the categories that we have in Python. Categories of data types that we have in Python. So those variables now will be holding or will be storing data of these categories. You can have a variable name holding some numerics. You can have a variable holding sequence type. You can have a variable holding set types. You can have a variable holding Boolean types. You can have variable names holding binary types and such. So that is why it's important for us to learn the data types that we have in Python programming. So I think after that, I think you can get into some interesting thing here to check a type of like when we say x in this case is a variable name, right? And we are saying x is equals to 5. And for us to check the type of these, we can again use print. and but they should tell you what is print. Print is an inbuilt Python function that will always give us the output. It's a function in Python that enable us to print out the output in case we want to see the output. And if you guys you can remember, we said when you run a program, you expect an output, right? So in this case, when I run this is the output. So for us to see this output, we must print, right? I think you guys you can understand that. So so I was saying that you can check the type of this, and it's very simple because again we have another inbuilt function that is called type function. So for instance, let's say we want to check the type of these edges. Let me just show you here. Can you just try to print out the type of these? Let me show some magic here. So who can tell us what do we expect as output when I print these? What do we expect as an output? Kezia, what do you think should be the output? Yes, yes, exactly. It's supposed to be 34. So when I just click that, we are getting a 34. So now this 34 is the output. So to check the type of these, I can just run this. The type, we can use the type function, and you notice that it is a function, and I will just pass in the age. And now we are going to see the type of age, or the data type that age holds. So let's see that. I think I can run that very fast. And you can see we are getting a class int. This int means integer. So this is an integer. Right? I think I should write before this an integer. So this one is an integer. So let me just put this now into some quotation, and I try to check the type of this. So let me just run this, and now you can see str to mean that now this age starting with a capital A, it's of type string. I think I already told you that str is a short form for string. I think that is it with the type function. It will always tell you the data type that your variable holds. Do you have any question up to that point? Thumbs up if you're good. I can see most of us we're okay. Yeah, you can see we are all good. So I think that's all about the type function. You can always use it to check the data type that your variable holds. What else is relevant for us to check here? I think even we understood this because again we are saying that setting specific data type, and you are saying that if you want to specify the data type, you can use the following constructors. And before even you get to constructors, but I think now we should get to constructors. What are constructors? Constructors are functions again. Constructors are functions. Yeah. Anytime you hear constructor in Python is just a function. And there is a way you can, but I don't see the relevance of this at this age, whereby we are just setting specific data types to a variable. Like in this case, you can see we are saying that x is equals to str, and then we just pass in the value here. So you can do all this now for the rest of the data types that you have learned. With an int of course is an integer, float. Of course, you expect a decimal, complex. You expect a complex number, list. So these are what we are calling constructors. So anytime I just write int 20, it means that this 20 is an integer. When I write a float 20 to 20.5, this one means is the value here is a float. Anytime I use maybe this one can change as we go on, because again we are going to see how you can create a list not using a constructor. We're going to see the normal way you can create a list, but hiyo itakam baadaye. So, but the rest they have their constructor. You can see we have for boolean, we have bool 5. I think that's all for setting specific data types in variables. I think that's all. Even we have covered these. Like you are saying, a string in Python are surrounded by either a single quotation mark or a double quotation mark. And that is it. So you can have print hello with a double quotes or a single quotations. And this is why we are saying that we can have all of these are strings, whether you use a double quote or a single quote. So you're just going to get the same output. And if you were to check all of these will be strings. I think now the next thing that I should cover here is maybe formally teaching you how to assign a string to a variable, of which you have done in most of our examples here. So we are saying assigning a string to a variable is done with a variable name followed by equal sign and the string, right? So like we have print, like we have a is equals to this, and then we print. Now let me show you something here. You see now where we have let me just call this one a more sensible. Let me give this one a more sensible name. I can just call it greeting. Greeting is equals to hello, and I try to print greeting. Oops. Ish. What's up? Let me now explain why we were saying that these variable names are like placeholders or containers. We are saying that greetings here is equals to hello. So instead of now printing hello, like we are doing here, you notice now that we are printing greetings. And what are we going to get when we run this? We are getting hello. So meaning that this hello here is data stored in this variable. And that is the reason why we said that variable names are placeholders or containers or just memory to hold data in your program. So meaning that this hello is is stored in this memory or in this variable name. And that is why when we print greetings, we are able now to get the contents of this variable name here. And that is why we are getting hello. In fact, even if you add something here, hello, hello world, and we just try to run this, we are going to get now the contents of this greeting. I think now it makes sense, right? Does it make sense? Yeah, I can see Erickson is saying it makes sense. Any other person who thinks it makes sense. You can see a number of us are saying that it makes sense. Yeah, that is the definition, that a variable name is a container or a placeholder that holds your program data. And in this case, you can see that we have it. We have greetings holding our data here, which is hello world. Yeah, I think that is it. This is how, by the way, we assign a variable name to some data. We can have, maybe, let's say, we can have sum is equals to 12 plus 45. And now when you try to print what? Let's try to print sum. Let me just comment on the greetings and I try to run these. Where is that? Maybe somewhere below here. Yeah, it's here. You can see the sum of 12 plus 45 is stored in this variable name, and that is why we are getting 57. I think that's all. That's all with how you can assign some data to a variable name. I think in this case we just had this example for assigning a string to a variable. This is now the example that we have here. So, and these are things that you can do what? These are things that you can just try to code in that Colab. What else should we check? We have something that we call multi-line strings. I think this one is a mod. I think this one is just a single line. This one is just a single line string, right? But maybe you want to have a what? So something you call, maybe you want to have a paragraph. If you want to have a paragraph to be stored in a variable, we use 3 quotes. I think this should be clear to you, that anytime that you want to hold a number of lines in a single variable name, we use the three quotes now. We don't use 2. 2 is just for a single sentence data. But for a number of lines, we use the three quotes here. Is it clear? So I think even you can just you can give this one paragraph. This should be, oops. I think you can just call it paragraph. And we have paragraph is equals to this. And let's try to print our paragraph. When we just try to print these now, you notice that we can we have these. We have all the contents of that variable paragraph. What if you use just a single? What if now you use a single quotation or double quotes? You are going to get something you call error. Because let me just show you here. Let me say if I just copy paste these. Let me show you. Copy paste that, and I just press enter, and now I put this one here. I think it should be somewhere below this. So I think you can see I'm getting some lines, right? These are errors simply because I'm trying to put multiple lines in a single, no, in double quotations. So for if you want to have a paragraph, use the three quotes. That is opening and closing. It's just that easy. But if you want to have a one line data, you just have to use either double quotes or a single quotes. Any question up to that point? Sylvia, I think today you are quiet.
I'm following up. I'm okay.
Good. Any question? I think someone has a question. Joroge, David, any question?
So I wanted to ask, is it possible to convert one data type into another data type?
Yes, that one is it's possible. It is possible, but you should be very keen because there are data types that you cannot convert to others. Like you cannot convert we cannot convert hello world to a numeric data type. That one will not happen. In Python, there is a concept that is called casting. I think David just took us to something else. But David, there is a concept that is called casting in Python, whereby you're able to change from one data type to another. Let's say maybe you had something like this. Let's say is equals to something like this. So David, in this case, what data type is 34? David,
We'll say character.
sorry?
A character.
This one is a character, or what
Or
you
a
are
string.
or what you are calling a string, right? But now we can change these to we can change this one to an integer, right? Because now it makes sense to change this. But you can't have, let's say, something like hello, and you want to convert this one to an integer or a double. That one will not happen. So there is that concept that is called. I think you're going to see how it works in later lectures. How you can convert maybe 34, which is a string, you convert it to an integer using a concept we call casting. I think that is it. Another question? Do you have another question before we finish up? Any other question? Then, if there is no question, then let's continue to the other concept that I would like us to check here. And this one is called looping through a string. And looping through a string is just going a letter by letter or a character by character. And we say that since string are arrays, we can loop through characters in a string with something we call for loop. We're also going to cover this at later lectures, for loop and how it is used. But one of its use case is to loop through a string. Like let's say, let me just show you some magic hapa kidogo. Let's say we have this as our variable name. We can just call it fruit, and we have a banana. I don't know if a banana is a fruit, by the way. So let's have this banana. So when we just print fruit and we run this, you notice that you are going to get banana, right? What if now you want to print each letter at a time? That is now where this for loop comes in, such that you can loop a letter by letter. You loop through a letter, and you print it. So, and that is why we are saying that you can have a for, and then we have another. You can have a variable name of your choice. We say in fruit, and we just try to do print x. I'll explain this in a bit. So if I just happen to run these now, you notice I'm looping through these variable name, printing each letter at a time. So be at first A, N, A, and A. So meaning that I'm able to access all these letters and print them by the help of loop. So what normally happens in here is, I'm saying for x is a variable, and you said a variable can hold any data type. So in this case, for x, will hold, anytime we run the program, it will hold a single letter. After it prints, it holds another single letter. It prints, and then the process continues until we print out the last letter here. That is just one use case of for loop. But we are going to learn that. In fact, you are just saying that you can just loop through a string, and just so it's good that we just check the for loop. But you are going to check how it's used in other cases. But that is how you can loop through a string. Maybe something else we can maybe check. So you notice that a string has length, and by length I mean the number of characters a string has. Like a banana, how many characters does it have? I can have someone answer that. How many characters does a string have? How does a banana string has? Someone can type, or maybe you can just unmute and tell us. Amos. I think Amos, you haven't talked today. How many characters does the word banana has? Amos, if you're in position to talk.
There are 6.
There are 6, right? Yes, there are 6. Also now there is a way you can do that using a Python program. Let's have banana here. Let's have banana. I think you can just call it a fruit. Then I'm going to have a fruit. Let's see how you can. Let's see how you can have this. We can count the number of characters in these. There is a function also in Python that is called len. And I notice that all functions said with a parenthesis. This is what we call parenthesis, by the way. This is what we are calling parenthesis. Parenthesis. Just two brackets here. So how now do we count these? We use the len, and then we pass in the name of the variable name. So len, and then we pass the fruit. If we run these, we should be able to get 6. As I think Amos is right. So this one might be easy to count, but what if now you have a paragraph? It might be difficult for you to count the number of characters that are in a certain paragraph. But now you can use this function to check that. In fact, if I was to copy all these, let me just copy that in here. I can also now run this program, and it will just count the number of letters in my paragraph. I can also add another one, and it will count very fast. Even can add another, can paste another one here, and it will still count very fast. But if you don't know how to count all these, I think you can spend a whole week doing it, right? I was just joking. Maybe it can take you some hours to do it. But in Python, this is how we use it. We use the len function. It's called a len function. Let's see something else that is very interesting before we end the class. There is something that we call slicing. Who can tell us what is slicing? That is from knowledge on literature. Kezia, what is slicing? What is slicing? I think someone can just give us a definition of slicing. What is slicing? Kezia, are you in position to talk? You don't have to be right.
Yes.
Yes, okay, yeah. Tell us, what is slicing? Yeah.
Okay. Slicing is a technique in Python to extract a portion of sequence.
Yes, I think that's right. We use slicing to extract some part of maybe a certain sequence. And in this case, I think we are dealing with strings. So also you can maybe try to slice. You can maybe just try to slice a string, and we are saying that slicing, you can return a range of characters by using the slice syntax. And we say that specify the start index and the end index separated by colon. In fact, this is the syntax now to return a part of strings, a part of string. So meaning that you must indicate the start index and then the end index, and then we separate them by a full colon. So meaning, let's say, for example, in fact, we have an example here. We are saying that get the characters from position 2 to position 5. So we can have our variable name here, which is b. And I prefer to call these greetings. But then anytime you are giving, you are writing a variable name, just try to write to create variable names that describe what you are trying to do, right? Like this one is a greeting, hello world. So we can have greeting is hello world, and then we want to extract characters from position 2 to position 5. So we are just going to print greetings, and then we have now, these are called the square brackets. I think it's good to indicate that for those of us who are new. These are called the square brackets. Anytime we are told to write square brackets, these are the square brackets. The square brackets. Oops. Yes, these are square. Who can name us? How do you call these brackets? Someone to volunteer? How do you call these brackets? And we have Lynette. Lynette, do you know how we call these brackets? Yeah, someone is saying they are called the curly brackets. Yes, of course they are called the curly brackets. So in Python, you are going to be dealing with these, the curly brackets, the square bracket, and these now, the parentheses. Do you have any other? I think we have also, we have these. These are called argot brackets. But in most cases, we think this one for those of you who have done maybe C, or is it C or C++? You understand these brackets well. So, but in this case, we are using the square bracket. So it's greeting square bracket. Then we indicate the start index, which is 2, and colon, and then the end index. So, and now if we just try to print that, you notice that we have just printed a section of hello world. That is characters from position 2 to 5. That is how you can slice. That is how you can slice. You can slice a string. That is, you can slice from the start. So when you omit the start, the start index, it means that it will print from the start up to where we have index 5. I don't know if you guys you got that. So let's just try this. And you notice that now we are printing from the start, hello, up to where we have index, 5. What if now you want to, this is now slicing from the start. You can also slice from the end. So meaning that you can just indicate the start, the start index, and I just put a colon. Notice that in this case we are starting with a colon, and then the end index. But in this case, we are starting with a start index. And if we try to print these, oops, if we try to print these, where is it? Where is this? I think it's just right here. So you notice that we are starting from index 2. We are starting from index 2, and then we print the rest of the sentence. So that is it with slicing. And the last part of slicing, it's something we call negative indexing. And we are saying that use negative index to start the slice from the end, the end of a string. So if we just have, let's say maybe we have maybe to start with the simplest being, maybe you can just try to remove this, and I like calling these greetings so that you can familiarize with it. Greeting. So this is what we are calling negative indexing. So let's see what happens. I don't know if you guys notice what just happened. We are removing the last two letters, because it is negative indexing and it always start from the right. It always start from the right. In fact, if I was to add maybe something like 5 here, we are going to see that you are going to remove all the last five characters. I think that is how we do the negative indexing. You can also start, you can have a negative, let's have a negative from the start, -1. And I will just try to print this and see what happens. You notice that we are just going to remove also the last letter here, the last character, simply because negative indexing start from the right. Thumbs up if you are good up to that point. I can see Kyle, Manu, Akinyi, Amos, Alban, good. Tuzebida. What about Mombi? Onesmus. I think we are good up to that point. In fact, that is how we do negative indexing. It's such a great concept to learn in programming. So I think that's all about we can learn for today. So that tomorrow maybe we can just get into some. We see how you can concatenate some strings. That is joining strings together. Among many other things that we are going to learn, such as multi-line comments, we see what are commented, and others. So I think that's all. Any question? Do we have any question up to that point? If no question, then a reminder. This is on the assignment that I gave last week.